Hello and welcome. We're back in London as things start to open up. Back here in Covent Garden, the home of Investment Week. This is the Fund Manager of the Year Awards 2021. Hello and welcome to the Fund Manager of the Year Awards 2021. My name's Katrina Lloyd and I'm Editor-in-Chief on Investment Week. I'm delighted to be hosting this year's awards from Incisive Media's new studio here in our Drury Lane offices. As you can imagine, I'm also thrilled not to have to record this year's awards in my garden like last year. We celebrate our award winners today as the industry and the country starts to open up and thoughts turn to recovery and rebuilding. I'm sure you'll be starting to reflect on how things have changed for you individually as well as at company level, and what these fresh opportunities and challenges may be. The investment industry has shown great resilience over the past year, and it's our ability to adapt, be creative and work together that will help us get through the next important stage. For our judges at this year's Fund Manager of the Year Awards, this year's judging sessions also gave them some time to reflect on unprecedented times for investors. How our shortlisted fund managers navigated this turbulent period was a key consideration as they chose their final winners. These awards have always been about rewarding fund manager excellence, and never have their skills been needed more than over the past 16 months. This year has also seen the huge transformation of sustainable and ESG investing into the mainstream, and ESG considerations were once again a key part of our judging sessions this year. I would like to take this opportunity now to thank our panel of category judges who judge sectors in their own specialist areas of expertise. Thanks again for your time. Thanks too to our advisory panel of judges for their contribution and support for these awards, some of whom have been with the awards since they started over a quarter of a century ago. These are the people to thank. I would also like to thank Lauren Mason, Scott Spencer, Kelly Pryor, Jordan Sraharan and Richard Roma Lee in particular for their help during the judging sessions this year. Special thanks as well to our data partner Morningstar for providing the shortlist data. And to all of our sponsors for their continued support for these awards. You can also follow the ceremony and congratulate our winners today using our hashtag FMYA21. As always, we're also supporting a charity at this awards, which this year is Place to Be. You can donate by clicking on the banner to the side of this screen. Now let's take a quick look at their very important work.
I hadn't really heard about Place to Be until sadly our son Sam took his own life in 2018. So when Sam first started showing signs of depression and anxiety, it's very difficult to spot the difference between that and a normal teenager growing up. We weren't really aware as parents that there was something deeper to that. How do you help teachers and parents spot these sorts of signs in ways that hopefully directly and indirectly will benefit other children, young adults and their families?
When I feel sad or angry, I can just tell them and let it all out. The stuff that you keep inside you because you don't want to tell anyone. And you can also talk about what's happening at home. They'll try to help you fix it. I now am really a lot more confident than I used to be. Yeah, and happier.
A few weeks ago, something very sad happened to my dad. And then when I went to Place to Be, it made me feel better because I got to talk about my feelings.
My mum and my dad, they were going through like a breakup kind of thing. And I used to have really bad panic attacks. It was just kind of nice having somebody there to talk about stuff like that and not be ashamed of it.
We've all been children, and we all know the highs and lows of that. And therefore, trying to support parents, children and schools create an environment in which vulnerable children feel that they have the ability to talk to others who will listen and give guidance to them simply has to be beneficial.
We start today with our equities categories and the award for Asia Pacific ex-Japan. Here are the names in the frame. But there can only be one winner. The judges wanted to reward the genuine stock selection skills of this manager in generating strong performance, despite not holding many of the high-growth Chinese names. They said the manager negotiated the period very well during last year's market fallout from the pandemic, and there is strong risk management on the fund, with a focus on individual risk drivers between stocks. The winner is the Fidelity Asia Pacific Opportunities Fund. Now we come to the China category. Please take a look at the shortlist. In a tight category, the judges wanted to recognise this team's solid stock selection skills, ability to think more broadly within Chinese markets, and a willingness to deviate from the benchmark. They are doing something a bit different to peers, and it is paying off. The winner is the Allianz All China Equity Fund. Next, we come to the India category. Here are the contenders. The judges awarded a highly commended in this category, saying they liked the strong process and very good stock selection skills on this fund, and highlighted it performed very well last year, especially on the downside where it generated a lot of alpha. Highly commended goes to the Pinebridge India Equity Fund. But there can only be one winner. The judges praised this fund's process, consistently strong returns, and ability to generate alpha through long-term investments, as well as its edge in the small and mid-cap space. The winner is the UTI India Dynamic Equity Fund. Now we move to Japan. But which funds are in with a chance? I'm pleased to be joined by Nick Wood, Head of Investment Fund Research at Quilter Cheviot, who was on the judging panel for this category to announce this year's winner. Thank you so much for joining us today, Nick. Maybe you can just tell us what the judges were really looking for this time in the judging session.
Yeah, sure. Well, it was a tough area to judge with a lot of good candidates, but we were particularly focused on how the short-listed funds navigated market turbulence last year, the strength of their teams and their integration of ESG.
And can you tell us who won?
Well, the judges highlighted very thoughtful portfolio construction and analysis by a great team on this winning fund, their very consistent way of investing, as well as their strong ESG credentials. And with that, I can tell you that the winner for the second year running is the Comgest Growth Japan Fund. Well done to the team, very worthy winners.
We come now to Europe. Please take a look at our front runners. judges said they have full confidence this highly commended fund will keep performing well over the long term. It is highly flexible, exercises pragmatism, and should be able to navigate all the periods of the market cycle. Highly commended goes to the BlackRock European Dynamic Fund. Now to our joint winners. The judges said this fund's stellar performance over 2020, as well as the last 3 years, simply cannot be ignored. This out-and-out growth fund offers investors great exposure to stocks from across the market cap spectrum. The first joint winner is the Baillie Gifford European Fund. The judges said this second joint winner navigated last year's volatility remarkably well, achieving great downside capture and strong risk-adjusted returns. It is style neutral, so should be able to perform well regardless of which style is in favour. Our second joint winner is the Premier Miton European Opportunities Fund. We move along now to North America. Take a moment to look at the shortlist. We have another highly commended here. The judges said this fund offers investors genuinely differentiated exposure to US equities through a robust, rigorous and transparent ESG process. It has managed to balance prioritising responsible investing alongside achieving solid returns. Highly commended goes to the Brown Advisory US Sustainable Growth Fund. But the judges said this winning fund's returns easily stand out as being remarkable in an equally remarkable year and were the result of superb stock picking across the entirety of the portfolio. The winner is the Baillie Gifford American Fund. We come now to the award for Global Emerging Markets. Who is ahead of the pack? The judges praised this highly commended fund's consistently strong performance and the impact of the manager's active decision-making last year. They said the managers take a more macro view, which is a differentiator in this space, and the team's on-the-ground knowledge helped them navigate last year well. Highly commended goes to the BlackRock Emerging Markets Fund. But now to our winner. The judges said this was an impressive entry, highlighting the fund's very high active share. They noted the manager's active decision-making over the last year in particular contributed to the strong performance, and the fund has generated returns across multiple sectors and countries, rather than relying on the China play. The winner is the PGIM Jennison Emerging Markets Equity Fund. Next up is the Global Growth category. Which funds are pulling away from their peers? This was another close category, and the judges wanted to award a highly commended, saying this fund and fund house's performance speak for itself. The manager of the fund exercises superb stock selection while taking impact investing into careful consideration. Highly commended goes to the Baillie Gifford Positive Change Fund. But the judges described the winning fund as a thought leader in terms of its clear ESG process. It is run by a phenomenally good team, which has managed to achieve stellar performance through rigorous analysis. They said this fund should continue to perform well over the long term. The winner is the Liontrust Sustainable Future Global Growth Fund. Our next category is Global Income. Which funds have a chance to shine? Again, this category was just too close to call, and there are joint winners. The judges said the first joint winner has quite a defensive approach, which has stood it in good stead both over its track record and during the pandemic-induced sell-off. Its Sortino ratio is nothing short of outstanding. The first joint winner is the Liontrust Global Dividend Fund. Meanwhile, the judges said the second joint winner has achieved strong outperformance despite its size, thanks to the skills of its manager. It has also offered great downside protection over the last year. The second joint winner is the Fidelity Global Dividend Fund. We move now to our UK equity categories, starting with UK growth. Let us look at our names in the frame. The judges wanted to award the winner's trophy to two good up-and-coming managers on this fund who work well together with contrasting styles, taking a joined-up and collegiate approach. The management team is described as dynamic and very active, and the judges noted they made the most of the recovery last year and performed very well. The winner is the Premier Miton UK Growth Fund. Next up is UK smaller companies. Which funds are setting the standard here? The judges gave a highly commended in this category to a well-established team they described as a quality outfit with a strong offering. They are good stewards of capital and consistent managers who have built the business out sensibly. Highly commended goes to the TB Amati UK Smaller Companies Fund. But the judges wanted to reward a fund which has performed fantastically well over the period. They highlighted it was well positioned going into the COVID sell-off last March, had the lowest drawdown and recovered well. The management team has demonstrated very good stock picking skills, generating large amounts of alpha with relatively low levels of volatility. The winner is the FP Octopus UK Microcap Growth Fund. Now to our final equity category, the UK Equity Income. Here are our front runners. The judges awarded the winner's trophy to a standout fund in this space, which delivered outstanding performance over the period. They also highlighted it is an all-cap differentiated portfolio, which makes it stand out from other funds and adds value. The winner is the LF Gresham House UK Multi-Cap Income Fund. We take a break here to look back on what has been a momentous year for Investment Week and what you can expect from us in the months ahead. The past year has been hugely challenging and exciting for the whole Investment Week team in our 26th year.
We have adapted to the new normal post-COVID, but also worked hard to make sure Investment Week is fit for the 2020s and beyond. Here's the story of the year so far.
We embraced new ways of working and shifted to digital events. We ramped up our coverage of sustainable and ESG investing, including unveiling the Sustainable Investing Hub on our website and successfully launching our first Sustainable Investment Festival. I'm delighted to welcome you today to the Sustainable Investment Festival.
We are right at the beginning of what for us is an absolute seismic change in the way the world operates.
The time to act is now. This is a once-in-a-lifetime generational shift to a world that has to be more responsible.
Proper stewardship and proper voting will ultimately change almost everything.
You can still continue to follow these discussions and debates across our Incisive Media titles, and we hope you will be looking and continuing with these and our events in the coming months. But for now, from me and from the festival, it's goodbye.
We accelerated our campaign to promote diversity and inclusion in the industry. We resized and redesigned the Investment Week magazine to allow it to be sent out in fully recyclable packaging and to improve the reader experience. So, what comes next? As the world begins to open up, we're preparing for the next stage in the evolution of Investment Week. So what can you expect?
Welcome to Investment Week's The Big Picture, a look back over the past month's biggest stories.
We're filming today in our brand new studio here in Drury Lane, which will allow us to take our multimedia coverage to another level.
We've redesigned our website to improve the user experience in response to feedback from Investment Week readers, and we introduced a new membership offering.
On the event side, we're preparing to return to physical and hybrid events in September. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
But of course, we couldn't have done all of this without the support of our teams at Incisive Media, our readers, our contributors, our sponsors and our supporters.
Thank you again for all your support for Investment Week, and we hope to see you soon. We move now to our bond categories, starting with the Sterling Strategic Bond category. Here are the finalists. I'm pleased to be joined by Kelly Pryor, Fund Manager in the Multi-Manager People team at BMO Global Asset Management, who helped chair this session to announce the winner. Thanks very much for joining us, Kelly.
The judges said it was hard to look past this winning fund in this category. They said the fund had an amazing year last year and delivered positive returns in the first quarter and then captured the upside in the recovery. They said it offers true diversification and defensive qualities, and it gave investors a fixed income experience in the first quarter, not an equity-like experience. The winner is the Allianz Strategic Bond Fund.
Next, we move to the Sterling Corporate Bond category. Here are the names up in lights. In a close category, the judges awarded a highly commended to a deeply experienced and close-knit team who have navigated a difficult year well and protected in terms of drawdown last year. Highly commended goes to the Royal London Corporate Bond Fund. But the judges said the winning fund had done a very good job in its class, and they were impressed by the extent of its outperformance against its peers, predominantly due to strong credit selection. The winner is the Rathbone Ethical Bond Fund. We move now to the Global Bonds category. Here is our shortlist. The judges said the winning fund in this category should be rewarded for the consistency of its return profile compared to the peer group, offering investors good risk-adjusted returns and good upside and downside capture ratios. The winner is the Dodge & Cox Worldwide Global Bond Fund. We come now to the Sterling High Yield category. Here are the frontrunners. I'm pleased to be joined by Jordan Sraharan, Head of the Managed Portfolio Service at Canaccord Genuity Wealth Management, who helped chair this category to announce the highly commended and winning funds. Thanks for joining us, Jordan.
Thanks very much for joining us today, Jordan. We had a very tight category here for Sterling High Yield, and we had a highly commended. Can you tell us who the highly commended is this year?
Hi Kat, thanks for having me. The judges, as you mentioned, had a very tight category to judge, and we found a fund that we highly commended with extremely strong positioning post the crisis, well measured in their approach and showed good foresight. In addition, have an exceptionally stable team and have a deep history together, and this kind of reflects their growth in AUM that they've achieved over the past few years. We're awarding the highly commended category to Royal London Asset Management Global High Yield Bond Fund.
Thank you. And who was the winner in this category?
The winner went to what is a very highly rated manager and a team around him that are exceptional. And it's their top-down approach that meant their positioning post-crisis was excellent, and a return profile that reflected that. The winner of this year's Sterling High Yield Bond category is the L&G High Income Trust.
Finally, in the bonds section, we come to the Global Emerging Markets Bond category. Here are the names up in lights. The judges awarded a highly commended in this category. They like the fact this superior fund offers really good risk-adjusted returns with a strong focus on country analysis and provides pure emerging markets exposure. Highly commended goes to the Eaton Vance Emerging Markets Debt Opportunities Fund. But the judges described this fund as a compelling winner run by a fantastic manager and team who run a great product suite and are delivering good returns. The winner is the Barings Emerging Markets Sovereign Debt Fund. Thanks for staying with us. We move now to our multi-asset and absolute return categories. We start with the Managed Flexible Investment category. Here is our hit list. The judges honoured a standout fund in this category, run by an exceptional team who navigated last year well and are backed by strong equity, fixed income and asset allocation capabilities. They said this team has a really cutting-edge focus on sustainability, and their thematic edge is forward-thinking and constantly evolving. The winner is the Liontrust Sustainable Future Managed Growth Fund. Our next category is managed 40 to 85% shares. Here are the names in lights. The judges awarded a highly commended in this category to a very strong fund. They said takes advantage of the group's global equity capabilities and is run by a long-standing manager with a consistent process. It also managed to protect well on the downside in Q1 last year. Highly commended goes to the Baillie Gifford Managed Fund. But the judges awarded joint winner accolades in this category to two exceptional fund franchises whose consistency is extraordinary. They said they are standout offerings in terms of their methodology and relevance in today's world. Joint winners are the Liontrust Sustainable Future Managed Fund and the Royal London Sustainable World Trust. Well done to both of you. We break from the managed categories for a moment to look at the absolute return category. Here are our finalists. The judges awarded a highly commended accolade in this category to a genuine absolute return product, offering steady returns and low drawdown. They said this well-regarded team had managed the last year particularly well in terms of their risk controls and limiting drawdown, and they wanted to recognise a successful fund with a very good long-term track record. Highly commended goes to the BlackRock European Absolute Alpha Fund. The judges said the return profile of this winning fund stands out, particularly the team's ability to protect on the downside in the first quarter of last year. They liked how actively the fund was managed over the past 12 months and the ability of this impressive team to stick to their process through some testing times. The winner is the Man GLG Alpha Select Alternative Fund. We return to our managed categories now with the 20 to 60% shares category. Here are your front runners. Once again, this category was dominated by two outstanding funds run by teams at the top of their game. Highly commended goes to the Liontrust Sustainable Future Defensive Managed Fund. But the winner's trophy goes to the Royal London Sustainable Diversified Trust. Our final category in this section is for managed 0 to 35% shares. Please view our shortlist. There could only be one winner in this category. The judges said this group has created the environment and provided the support for this experienced fund manager and the team to build one of the leading and most successful sustainable funds franchises in the UK market, running money at scale across a range of investor risk profiles. The winner is the Royal London Sustainable Managed Growth Trust. We come now to the award for Specialist Group of the Year. Here are our finalists based on the number of shortlisted funds. The judges said this winning group has done a good job in a difficult environment. They wanted to highlight their homegrown talent and give credit for their well-deserved wins at category level at this year's Fund Manager of the Year awards. The group worked hard to adapt to changing employee and client needs last year during the pandemic, while also developing the investment capabilities across the group. The winner is Premier Miton Investors. Now we come to the Global Group of the Year category, which is the tightest it has been for many years. Two groups were way ahead of the rest in terms of the number of shortlisted funds this year. The judges gave a highly commended to a group whose outperformance in its relevant sectors has been phenomenal. They also wanted to highlight the breadth of its offering, pursuit of high active share, strong ESG integration, and the ability to stick to its style over many years. Highly commended this year goes to Baillie Gifford. But one group came out ahead this year. The judges gave the winner's accolade to a group they said is really on their game at the moment, and they have had a great year, including the highest number of wins in this year's awards. They really like the way this group has developed, and in particular their early advocacy of responsible and sustainable investing and support for active management. They highlighted the strength and breadth of their offering across both single strategy and multi-asset funds. The winner is Liontrust. I recently spoke to Liontrust CEO John Irons to present his award.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, John. I'd like to start by congratulating you on this award for Liontrust winning Global Group of the Year. So yeah, many congratulations.
Thank you very much. Obviously, a very significant achievement for the group, and also this year, testament to all of the hard work that my colleagues have put into developing the business over the last 10 years, and the culmination of a lot of effort that's gone into growing Liontrust to the business it is today.
Yes, I was going to ask you, what are you most proud of in terms of Liontrust achievements over the past year in particular, and obviously the challenges of the pandemic that we've all been facing?
Yeah, I think the most pleasing thing is the effort of all of our colleagues, through an incredibly difficult testing period, to continue to ensure that clients remain at the centre of our business and our proposition, continue to focus on getting the basics right day in, day out, to continue to draw on the talents of those individuals. And I think what we've proved over this sort of remote working year, that whilst we've a large number of very talented individuals, still to be able to pull together and to come up with ideas to continue to develop and grow the business successfully as we have.
And just finally, sort of looking ahead, what are going to be the key areas of focus now for you and the groups of going forwards?
Very much more of the same. Continue to put our clients very much at the core and the focus of our proposition. Obviously, over the last 10 years, certainly over the last year, client demands are continually developing, so to be able to make sure that our products are pertinent for their requirements, we communicate efficiently, effectively with them, and we continue to deliver through strong investment process the outcomes they want. And with that, moving forward, to continue to embed the sustainability proposition throughout the whole of the group.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, John, and congratulations again.
A pleasure, and thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Finally, we come to our special individual awards, starting with the Outstanding Fund Manager Achievement Award. The judges said this fund manager has delivered really well for his clients during a career spanning over 4 decades. They say he is active management and love what he represents as an investor and his passion for picking stocks. They really like the fact he is spending the last few months at Schroders as a mentor and hope he can inspire up-and-coming managers with the same ethos before he goes. The winner is Matthew Dobbs from Schroders. Congratulations to Matthew. I caught up with Matthew recently to present his award.
Hello Matthew, thanks so much for joining us today for the Fund Manager of the Year Awards, and I'd like to say many congratulations for winning this year's Outstanding Fund Manager Achievement Award.
Well, thank you, Katrina. I'm sorry can't be there in person to make a sort of tearful acceptance speech.
And is there anyone you want to thank? You've been working so many years with the team and Schroders there. Who are the key people?
I probably ought to thank my long-suffering family, because there's been a certain amount of travel, both overseas when we were allowed to, and also obviously seeing clients. I've always very much enjoyed, and it's extremely flattering that such a distinguished panel should have given this reward. And I do feel, actually, frankly, a little bit overcome. And but I'd be bound to say, again, some of those clients have really been on quite a long journey with me and have seen the markets not necessarily move in to their advantage. But I hope, and we've endeavoured to do what we kind of said what we do on the tin. But I also obviously must thank tremendous group of colleagues, both around in the region in Asia and in London. And actually, I have every confidence in the team, Richard Sennett, Abbas Barkhorder, who are taking over from me. But it's been great fun, and it's clients that actually can make it fun as well.
And I was going to ask you, I believe you've been doing some mentoring, younger fund managers coming up there through the ranks. What's your sort of advice to them? What are the key things you've learned during your career that you're sort of sharing with them?
Well, the first thing I say to them, because in a way, with some of them, particularly the younger ones, I mean, suddenly you sort of realise you're slightly formidable, really, on the other end of a Zoom call, and many of them are out in Asia, and quite a few of them, of course, were born after I joined Schroders in a slightly sort of embarrassing way, but that actually in our profession we should always be humble. We should never overestimate what we can do. I think it's having that sort of false confidence that could be perhaps one of the most dangerous things in fund management. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have clear principles of what you believe works, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't have confidence in your own kind of intellectual abilities. But you should also realise that if we manage to be right, sort of, we all know that we're all professionals. I know this audience of professionals, and it's a cliche, but for young people, actually, if you're right 60% of the time, you're doing actually very well, because we're trying to do the impossible. We're trying to look into the future, which by its nature we shouldn't really be able to do. So that's one thing. The other thing I suppose is I encourage them, because many of them have very high qualifications in what I call very relevant degrees, finance, administration, business, economics, and I did a bit of economics, but I also did history, and I do also encourage them to not look at the market as a kind of rational machine. In many ways it can be quite irrational, and behavioural science, reading books outside the subject. History, I'm a great believer in reading plenty of history, and that behavioural side of markets I think is so important.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Matthew, and many congratulations again on this award. Very well deserved. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Katrina. All the best. Thank you.
Next, we come to the award for outstanding contribution to the industry. The judges wanted to recognise an individual who's played a key role in shaping how Baillie Gifford is today, after nearly 38 years at the firm, including 15 as senior partner. They said he has been central to creating a unique proposition for what has become a large business, including as leader of the whole investment department. They said his contribution stands out, not just because of the group's performance over the period, but also the strength of its culture, the partnership structure, and vocal support for active management. The winner is Charles Plowden of Baillie Gifford. Congratulations to Charles. I recently spoke to Charles about his career and to present his awards.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Charles. It's great to see you. I wanted to start by just saying many congratulations on winning our outstanding contribution to the industry award this year.
Well, many thanks, and especially to the judges. I'm someone who spent most of my career trying to keep below the radar, and in a firm which has also been pretty low profile. So this is entirely unexpected and doubly gratifying. And I guess it's really an award for Baillie Gifford as a whole, reflected in the number of our shortlisted funds and the winners today. So I'd also like to thank all my former colleagues for their sustained efforts over very many years.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about, what are you most proud of during your time at Baillie Gifford? And when looking back, what do you think have been your greatest achievements in terms of the development of the group?
Well, I was brought up to believe that pride was a bad thing and to be discouraged, but there are two things I think that make me particularly proud. Firstly, the example we've set for active management in general and for growth investing in particular. And I'm afraid I continue to believe that too many in our industry are incentivized to fail conventionally. But we've proved that it is possible and ultimately far more rewarding to succeed unconventionally by sticking to your beliefs. And in doing so, we've managed to create almost unbelievable amounts of value for our clients. So outperformance of well over $100 billion after all fees over the last 5 years, which is something you've got to be pretty proud of. And secondly, I'm proud of the way that we've done it, by remaining true to ourselves, by continuing to promote the interests of our clients above our own, and increasingly by trying to elevate investment to something with a real social purpose. It really is a firm to be proud of, and it has been an honour to have been involved there for so long.
Yes, and I was going to say, you've obviously been a very vocal supporter of active management during your career. What do you see as the real biggest challenges and opportunities for active managers in the future? You touched on a few areas there. Well, what do you see is going to be really important that the industry gets right going forward?
Well, I think the challenge and the opportunity are the same. They're for active managers to actually do what it says on the tin, to invest ambitiously, to be prepared to challenge consensus, and to focus on maximizing the value we can provide for clients. And that includes limiting fees to what is reasonable. And if fund managers don't do that, then I'm afraid they'll quickly lose their license to operate. More positively, I do think that active managers currently have a huge role to play in terms of allocating society's savings to the most productive companies. And when you put that against the background of global warming and the need to find solutions to what is probably the biggest challenge yet to face the world, then that task, the allocation of capital to the most productive companies, takes on huge significance and brings huge opportunities. And I'm optimistic that the combination of technology and capital can do enough from a global warming perspective, but it is a huge responsibility on the industry, and we have to avoid getting lost in the weeds of box ticking and minimum standards. And we must surely aim very high and see ourselves as part of the solution rather than remaining part of the problem.
Well, thank you so much, Charles. Thanks for your insights there and looking back over your career. And we wish you well in your retirement. Congratulations again on the award, and thanks for speaking to us today. Thank you.
Well, and thank you again. And I really am very touched and proud and surprised, but I'm delighted to accept. Thank you.
Finally, we are pleased to award our first ever Outstanding Contribution to Diversity and Inclusion Award at the Fund Manager of the Year Awards, in an area very close to the heart of Investment Week. This year's award goes to a fund manager who has made an enormous personal contribution to getting the investment industry closer to where it needs to be in this important area. He's been an outspoken champion of this cause for many years, which has been very powerful as a fund manager, including at a time when diversity and inclusion did not receive the attention it does today. This work stepped up another level during the fallout from COVID-19 last year, as we tried to build back better. He is someone who likes to bring people into the discussion, and he is often the first port of call for groups and individuals as they make their own vital progress in this area. He is a real ambassador and true leader. The winner is Justin Onakuzi from Elgin. Congratulations to Justin. I managed to speak to Justin recently and present his award.
Hello Justin, thank you so much for joining us today for the Fund Manager of the Year Awards. And I wanted to say, to start off, many congratulations on winning the Outstanding Contribution to Diversity and Inclusion Award. Our very first time we've had this award as part of Fund Manager of the Year, so well done.
Thank you. It's an absolute honour to be considered, never mind to win this. But importantly, this isn't just down to me, it's down to the team at Elgin who have supported me and actually driven diversity and inclusion within the business, but also led from an overall industry perspective. And also the diversity projects and movements such as Talk About Black, which have really driven change in the industry. And I think, there's more to come.
Yes, I'm going to ask you, what are you most proud of in terms of the progress we've already made in this area?
I think the key progress we've made is that we are actually having the discussion. 5 years ago, we weren't even talking about this. So now there's a platform to have that discussion. It's not just individual businesses which are having that discussion anymore. It's actually businesses coming together and trying to drive change together. I think fundamentally, that is important, and that is how change really begins.
And what would you like to see now from the industry in this area?
I think we've created that platform for discussion, and now it's about moving that discussion into action. Inclusion, as we know, is really important, and I think it's down to senior investors like myself to use my privilege and my profile to really drive a more inclusive industry.
Thank you for that message there, Justin, that challenge to the industry moving forwards, and well done again for all your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So that brings to an end the Fund Manager of the Year Awards 2021. Congratulations to all our finalists and winners. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you all again very soon.